Hello, my name is Stephen Marsh. I'm the founder and creator of Pinkster Gin and of Hedgepig Gin. Welcome to the Hedgepig gin tasting at my home in collaboration with the British Hedgehog Preservation Society. I'm delighted that we have a long-standing collaboration with the BHPS. As a rural business that enjoys rummaging around in hedgerows, it's a cause that we're passionate about. In light of recent news that the British hedgehog has been classified as vulnerable to distinction, the future of these snuffly little fellows hangs in the balance. Every little bit helps, and we will be making a donation for every Hedgepig product sold to Faye and her wonderful team at the BHPS to continue their sterling work. Now, you should have received a Hedgepig tasting bag like this with 4 Hedgepig miniatures in it, Wild Bullets and Quince, Cambridge Gauge, Glorious Gooseberry and Zesty Elderflower, plus some tonics. In the course of this tasting, we're going to try all of them. We're going to try them several different ways, and I'm going to tell you how we make them, why we make them, and tell you the best way in which to drink them. However, I will do all of that, and I will tell you all of that whilst we're going along, because you're all probably quite thirsty and probably quite keen to get on to the first one. So we're going to start with the Wild Bullets and Quince, but before that, probably a good idea to make sure that you've got some glassware, plenty of ice. Useful to have some shot glasses so you can taste them, particularly if you're sharing, and then some garnishes. So orange, lemon. We're going to get apple. You have some fresh mint as well. Good idea to have a Madeleine so that you can take the peel off. Obviously a bottle opener. But key thing is plenty of ice. We're going to start this evening with Wild Bullets and Quince, the Hedgepig Wild Bullets and Quince. So if you open the bottle and pour a little bit into a shot glass or a larger glass if you haven't got a shot glass, and then have a smell, have a sniff of it. You should get some sweetness, some honey notes on the nose. You should get quince, and you should get some plummy undertones. It's a very, very enticing aroma. I think you'll agree. Then when you've done that, have a sip. You have more. So you have sweetness, you have some alcohol, but an overwhelming note of quince. The quince is very, very forward in this. I'm then getting a lot of plum, which is the Wild Bullets. Come on to that in a second. I'm getting some residual juniper too. Not everybody will pick that up, but I am, and I really like it. I think that's a really easy liqueur to drink on its own. 29.8%. So you probably want to gang slightly warily on it, but that's really easy to drink on its own. I think absolutely delicious. You've got a lovely mellow mouth feel left over, and I think it's really good. Goes extremely well with cheese. It's a particularly nice strong cheese, so it's a digestive. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously quince and membrillo, quince paste are a natural culinary pairing with cheese, and I think that works extremely well. So before I show you how to make that into how to do a long drink with that, I'm going to savour the short drink, and I'll tell you why we call it Hedgepig. And we wanted a name that was sort of semi-made up. It's not. It is actually a very old-fashioned alternative for a hedgehog. but it's not been in use for a long time. We wanted something that didn't have a huge degree of competition on search engines, but more importantly, something that had foraging undertones, foraging connotations. So we wanted something. So we went for it with Hedgepig. I think it works. It works very well. I do like this neat, I have to say. Now we have this. This is at room temperature, so ambient temperature. The general rule is that stone fruit should be drunk at room temperature, whereas top fruit, soft fruit, should be drunk slightly colder. So I would drink that very happily at the end of a meal with cheese, the equivalent of port or something. I would drink that very, very happily. I think it's a really lovely drink. I'm gonna have to have another sip. Now a lot of people ask us, what is wild bullis? And wild bullis is a hedgerow plum. It was grown quite prolifically across East Anglia in the 19th century. It was very popular. It was often turned into jam. It fell completely out of favour during the First World War, and has not really been grown since. What we've got left in hedgerows and in old gardens and cottage gardens and kitchen gardens is really a sort of a hangover, a relic of a previous century. It does grow quite prolifically in hedgerows. People often don't spot it. It's a yellow plum. You pick it when it goes really sort of orangey red, and ideally when the skins break, that's when you've got maximum sweetness. And we go out, we forage it. We have a number of places where we know it is, and we have a number of gardens where we know it's growing. And I'm busy planting orchards. It's not growing commercially anywhere. I'm busy planting 2 or 3 orchards of it, because I would make a lot of this if I could. Sadly, we can only make a few thousand litres each year. But I think you'll agree, what there is there is absolutely worth having. Now, wild bullis itself makes a fantastic fruit gin, and I would love to be able to make wild bullis gin on its own, but I just cannot get enough of it to do it in anything like the sort of volumes I would need to be able to do it to be at all commercial. Similarly, quince gin. Quince makes a very fine gin. There are a number of quince gins on the market, but I think that nothing really works quite as well. Both the wild bullis and the quince neither work as well on their own as they do together. It really is a magical partnership, and I hope that you will agree, having tasted that. We'll move on shortly to the long drink, and you can see how versatile this spirit actually is. Now, I think this is absolutely delicious, neat, drunk with cheese as a digestive. Quince obviously as a natural. You have membrillo, quince paste, which you eat with cheese, and this, as a result, goes extremely well with cheese. However, it also makes a really good long drink. So, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the whole lot in, because I am rather partial to this. Obviously, if you're doing this with 2, you could put it in 2 glasses, and then I'm going to put a reasonable amount of ice in there. Having said, if you're drinking it neat, have it at ambient temperature. But if you're going to add a mixer, it's worth adding some ice. Now, this goes extremely well with the ginger ale. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put about half the bottle of ginger ale in there. In general, personally, I like my gin and tonics fruit gin and tonic or just a dry gin and tonic, I like my gin and tonics on a ratio of 1 to 2. Now, Fever Tree adverts talk about 3/4 of your gin and tonic is tonic. Make it a good tonic, absolutely spot on. If necessary, go 1 to 3, go 3/4 tonic, but I wouldn't go 1 to 4. I think that's too much. Personally, I like it 1 to 2, and then to garnish this, I'm going to take some orange, and I'm going to put in some orange peel, and I'm going to take some off with a mandolin, and I'm going to twist it. And the reason I twist it is I want some of the essences that are in the pores in the skin to shoot out, because not only does that produce an orange aroma in the glass, so that when I lift the glass to my lips, I get an orange aroma, but actually it also releases some of the essential oils into the drink. I think that's absolutely delicious. I have to say, I absolutely adore this. Very, very easy to drink. Probably dangerously so. Now, the Wild Bullets and Quince is about 29.8%, so just under 30. I tend to make all of the Hedgepig range between 27 and 30%. They can carry the alcohol. I'm not looking to cut corners. I'm looking to produce something that is absolutely delicious, and often you'll find that some of the cheaper liqueurs will cut the alcohol in order to reach a certain price point. I'm not fussed about reaching a certain price point. I'm interested in producing something that I really want to drink. And I have to say, I like drinking this. So, Pinkster. Some of you may have come across Pinkster. We sell Pinkster in much greater volume than we sell Hedgepig, and we only make probably a couple of thousand litres each year of each of these Hedgepig flavours, largely because we are foraging for the ingredients and can't get enough of them. I would make a lot more of this, for example, if I could. We've had a lot of critical acclaim for the Wild Bullets and Quince. I've had 2 Masters of Wine tell me it's outstanding, and it's very popular, but we only make a few thousand litres, so they're not proper commercial volumes. On the other hand, Pinkster, which we make with fresh raspberries which are grown only a few miles from here, just outside Cambridge, and we make it with fresh raspberries. We make the base gin first of all, which we make with 3 times as much juniper as normal. We then do a secondary maceration with fresh raspberries and 2 other botanicals. Pinkster, you may well have seen in shops. You may well have seen it behind the bar in bars and restaurants and hotels. We do make and sell a lot of that. We only make that during the English raspberry season, just as we only make Hedgepig products in their own particular season. Now the Wild Bullet season actually is coming up fairly soon. We're a couple of weeks ahead of normal, and we'll be picking Wild Bullets in the next couple of weeks. It grows in lots of places, but it's often overlooked. It's not very easy to spot, and people tend to spot it when they think it's gone over. But when it's gone over, when the skin has broken, you're then in a race with the birds to try and pick it, because that's the point of maximum sweetness. So you don't want to pick it too soon. You want to try and get it when it's really fully ripe, and ideally when it looks as though it's too ripe to pick. That's when it's at its best. But this is all done by hand. It is quite a palaver, but I think the results are worth it. We use the same base that we use to make Pinkster. We use that to make all the Hedgepig range. Actually, it works. It works very well. I happen to like gin, so I don't mind having sort of a little bit of juniper in my liqueurs. Now, this is a drink, the Wild Bullets and Quince, that you can drink before dinner as an aperitif, or drink it after dinner as a digestif with some cheese. I think it's an absolute cracker. I hope you do too. Next up is Cambridge Gauge. Now, Gage is another member of the plum family. They're brought over to the UK from France in the mid-18th century, reputedly by a member of the Gage family, and hence their name. This is a very popular variety called Cambridge Gage, and if I'm honest, I made it originally because I was tempted to make it because of the name. We're just outside Cambridge. Of course, I should try and make something with Cambridge Gage. As it turns out, it's absolutely delicious. So, as before, pour some into your glass and give it a smell. Give it a sniff. Not as strong on the nose as the Wild Bull and Quince, but still good plum notes, and then have a sip. And very strong plum notes on the tongue, with a very, very smooth mouthfeel. Obviously, all of the Hedgepig range have sugar in them. Hence, you sometimes get sort of honey notes on the nose. Again, like Wild Bull and Quince, although this is a very different flavour, it goes extremely well with cheese. I like it as a digestif with a very strong blue cheese. I think it works particularly well. And actually, I often refer to Hedgepig as being, and fruit gin liqueur generally, as being pudding gins, as I'm a firm believer that if you tell people when to drink something, they probably will. I think they are a delicacy, but like most others, this also makes an extremely good long drink as an aperitif. And to do that, and it is of course a stone fruit, so if you're drinking it neat, you want to drink it at room temperature. Now for a longer drink, again I'm going to put some ice. It's only me here, and I'm going to drink them, so I'm going to use my hands. Some ice in the glass. I'm going to put, because I can, I'm going to put the whole bottle in. Now this we're actually going to put with the spiced ginger ale, Fever Tree spiced ginger ale. Absolutely fantastic product. Really, really good. Don't you just hate it when that happens? Shouldn't have shaken it just now. And again, I'm going to put about half the bottle in there, and this we're going to garnish with a wedge of lemon. Looks great, tastes even better. I think it works really, really well. Again, I could drink this all evening. I have been known to. With Hedgepig, as with Pinkster, Pinkster was a hobby that grew wildly out of control. I made it because I wanted a gin I could drink with food, and I developed it entirely to my taste. I never intended to do it commercially. And similarly with Hedgepig, I tend to make things I like. So if I don't like the flavour, if I don't like the taste of it, it's simply not going to make it into a bottle. The things that are in bottles, I like. I happen to like this a lot. I think that works really, really well, particularly with spiced ginger ale. But that and the Wild Bull and Quince together on a cheese board, really quite difficult to beat. Also, they make stonkingly good aperitifs. I hope you enjoy. Now, actually, the Cambridge Gage that we use here is all grown in a small orchard in the next village to us, so it is grown. It's grown in Cambridgeshire, and it's a very old orchard. They don't have a huge number of uses for Cambridge Gage. For some reason, they're not particularly popular with the consumer. I always live in dread that the orchard is going to be scrubbed up. So I'm delighted to be able to keep some old varieties going, some old orchards going, as well as producing a fine drink. Though I have to admit, this one is not necessarily foraged, because it is actually picked from a small, evolved commercial orchard. We'll move on to the next one. The third Hedgepig liqueur we're going to try this evening is Glorious Gooseberry. Now, gooseberry is one of those old-fashioned English fruits that people either love or they hate. It's very marmitey. I just wouldn't like anybody to think it has marmite in it, but people either love it or they loathe it. Personally, I really like it, and I think it makes an absolutely fantastic liqueur. And hence we sell it. It's not something we make in much volume. We have great difficulty getting the gooseberries, as very few people grow gooseberries this year. Arthur, you can cut all that. It's one we don't make in huge quantity. We have great difficulty getting the gooseberries. Very few people actually grow gooseberries commercially. They're a bit of a nightmare to harvest because the plants are very prickly and spiky, and you can end up with lacerated hands by the time you pick some. I grow quite a lot here in my kitchen garden, and we use those, and we use some from other gardens, and from and our raspberry grower, who grows raspberries for Pinkster, has some gooseberries, which I think he largely keeps because he knows he can sell them to me. But they're hard work to pick, but I think the result is absolutely delicious. And I have to say, the fruit, when we've finished making the liquid, is also delicious. We turn it into jam. We also turn it in. I also turn it into gooseberry fool and gooseberry sorbet. Because we haven't produced enough of it, we haven't actually been able to commercially release, particularly the jam yet. I wouldn't want to do any frozen products for fairly obvious reasons. Logistics are a complete nightmare. But I hope that we will be able to produce some jam of this in due course. In the meantime, have a taste of this. I think absolutely delicious. But then you probably notice I say it's absolutely delicious about all of them. Occasionally I get asked which is my favourite. Well, that's a bit like having to name your favourite child. It's not something that's ever wise to do, even if you did have a favourite child, which I don't. No. It's much subtler on the nose than the previous two, but strong gooseberry aroma, which I really like. As I say, some of you may be passing on this one, but I hope not. Give it a try. Now, this obviously is a soft fruit, so this is actually better cold. But I'm gonna have a sip of it neat. It's obviously a very warm day, so this is quite warm. Strong gooseberry notes on the tongue. Really pleasant. I really like this. But if I'm going to drink this neat, I will normally drink this cold. I will keep a bottle in the fridge. Sometimes I keep a bottle in the freezer. If I'm going to drink it neat. So what I suggest you do is you put some ice in your glass and try it colder. Wait a second for the ice to melt. Now, actually, what happens is that when you put ice in your glass, and it's worth having a lot of ice so that it does bring the temperature down. But you do want it to slightly dilute. You don't want too much dilution, but the dilution opens the liquid up, and that's generally if I'm tasting straight gins, I will try them neat then I will try them with ice, and ice that is very, very slightly melted, because it completely opens up the gin. Just the same here. As I say, I like this straight out of the fridge or out of the freezer. And if it comes out of the freezer, it has a much more viscous quality to it. So now I hope you recognise them. You get a slightly stronger gooseberry flavour. I think it's really nice. I will drink this with a summer pudding, pretty much any pudding really. I think it's a really, really good drink to drink as a digestif. Also makes an excellent long drink. Though I have to say I slightly prefer it neat to a long drink, but I'm not averse to having it as a long drink. In fact, I do quite often. Just break up some of this ice. Okay, I'm going to put some ice in there, and then I'm going to add the Mediterranean tonic. I have to say, I quite often have this also with Indian tonic as well. And again, about half the bottle, particularly with Mediterranean. You really don't want to overdo it, because actually the Mediterranean flavourings are quite strong. And then to garnish this with a sprig of mint. Now I don't know whether any of you know the mint trick. If you've got the mint to hand, what I suggest you do is you take a leaf, tear it in two, pinch your nose, and then put the leaf in your mouth. Okay? Chew it, and then unpinch your nose. Now when you unpinch your nose, you will get a massive rush of mint flavour. And that is because the taste receptors for mint are olfactory rather than throat-based. So that is why, before you put the mint in your drink, I'm going to suggest that you spank it. And it's just bashing it like that, bruising it to try and release its essential oils, release its aroma. And again, as before, I'm going to put that on the surface so that when I lift the glass to my lips, I get the aroma of the mint in the glass. As you can see, I've got a glass here that's slightly tapered at the top, which actually is a very good thing with wine, for example. If you want to try and retain the aroma, I think it works really well with gin. I like glasses where they're slightly tapered at the top, because they do tend to retain the aroma for longer than an open glass. I also quite like stemless glasses, but then I spent a lot of time in Australia. So then have a sip. Now, if you like gooseberries, that is a really, really nice drink. I absolutely love it. I think I do prefer to drink it, slightly prefer to drink it cold, neat, but as a really refreshing long drink, that I think ticks all of the boxes. So, enjoy. Last but not least, we're moving on to the zesty elderflower. Now, I think elderflower is absolutely fantastic, quintessential British product. We forage this from local hedgerows, from our own hedgerows, and from our I think absolutely fantastic. So then, as before, if you open it up, now we're going to try something slightly different with this. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to drink it. But first of all, let's taste it. So put a bit into a glass, sniff it. Now you should get a lot of elderflower. A lot of elderflower on the nose. I think that is summer in a glass. Then when you taste it, it's at ambient temperature. You get a lot of elderflower on the tongue, some citrus notes, some sweetness, but expect that it's a liqueur. Really, really, really drinkable. Now, it's a particularly versatile drink, zesty elderflower, because we can drink it neat, and I have to say, one of my favourite ways to drink it, I've just taken a bottle that I keep in the freezer. One of my favourite ways to drink it is straight out of the freezer. So ice cold, I pour some in there. It becomes very, very viscous. You won't be able to see that, but it's very viscous, and I think absolutely delicious. So served ice cold with a pudding, pretty much any pudding, frankly, in my opinion. I think it's an excuse for a pudding in itself. I think absolutely delicious. When we serve this at dinner, at parties, the bottle is always finished. In fact, we very rarely ever open a bottle and not finish it. Absolutely delicious. I think that's really, really, really refreshing, particularly on a hot day. However, at 30% or 29.8%, you want to be quite careful about it. But I think that, as I say, I think that is summer in a glass, neat, served ice cold. It also makes a very good long drink. So I'm actually only going to pour half in this one, because I want to show you how to make a very nice cocktail with it as well. So I'm going to put about half in there, and I'm going to throw some ice in the glass, and this we do very, very simply with Indian tonic water. And again, that's on about a 1 to 2 basis. I think absolutely delicious. Now, if you haven't got tonic water to hand, or if you're not that keen on the quinine that you get in the quinine flavour of tonic water, and some people are not very keen on it, then I would try fizzy water. An alcoholic elderflower pressé. Very refreshing, absolutely delicious. Now, to garnish this, we recommend an apple. So it's going to grab an apple, so a slice of apple. They don't get much fresher than that. Slice of apple. Swirl it round. I think absolutely delicious. Again, that's something I could drink. I could drink all evening. But I have another way to drink this, and I'm going to have to find another glass. So another way to drink this is turn it into a cocktail. So I'm going to take a wine glass, and I'm going to put a fairly decent amount of ice in the wine glass. Put that back in there, and then I'm going to put the rest of the elderflower into the wine glass. Earlier I squeezed a lime there. I've got just over half a lime, so it's fresh lime juice, and I'm going to top that up with fizzy water, and then I am going to garnish that with a wedge of lime. Ludo, leave it alone. I'm going to garnish that with a wedge of lime. I think that is absolutely delicious. on a hot day. I think it's about 36 today here. That is very, very welcome. Absolutely delicious. So easy to make. Ludo, leave it alone. Go on. So easy to make, absolutely delicious. Ludo, sit. Good boy. I have a Border Terrier puppy at my feet most of the time, with a liking for plastic bottles. Absolutely delicious. Now, elderflower, we pick by hand. I have armies of, I say armies, very small armies, 3 or 4 people picking elderflower. We do it in a very, very traditional fashion. We pick the same spots every day because we want the freshest. Ludo, leave it. We want the freshest elderflowers. We want them when they're looking like they're like old lace. No, Ludo, just stop it. Stop it. No. We want them looking like old lace. We want them very, very fresh. We want them, so we want to be absolutely clear about them. We don't tend to take from hedgerows on the roadsides. We prefer to go into fields with landowners' permission, of course. We make it in a very, very traditional way. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and a very, very versatile drink. So it makes a long drink, a digestive, and I think an absolutely delicious cocktail that is so easy to make. So I hope that you've enjoyed that as much as I have. All of these products are available on our website, either on pinkstergin.com or fruityhedgepig.com, and a percentage of every sale of Hedgepig products will go to the BHPS. For the rest of August, we have got a special 10% donation. So if you put in the code that will appear on the screen when I finish speaking into the voucher box on the website, then the BHPS will get 10% of the proceeds of the sale. As I say, I'm delighted to be able to do this to help the BHPS at such a critical time when the hedgehog is in such danger. So I hope that you have enjoyed this evening. I've certainly enjoyed doing it, and I hope that you like the products, and I hope that you will buy some. Thank you very much.